Marhaban. Right now we're going to talk about superlatives in Arabic, or what we call أفعال التفضيل. And if you listen to this pattern, أفعل, you'll perhaps recognize that kind of rhythmic stress, that vowel pattern. You may have encountered a couple of words with superlative meanings already in Arabic, perhaps أحسن, meaning best, or أكبر, meaning biggest. So if you say those words to yourself, أحسن, أكبر, أفعل, you'll hear that they share a certain commonality of vowels, right? We have two syllables with fatha, and we have that alif at the beginning. And we can use that af'al pattern to turn a lot of simple adjectives into superlatives, right? We could take an adjective like jameel, pretty or beautiful, and we could turn it into ajmal. Right? We have to identify that three-letter root, jim, mim, lam, and then we pop those letters out and we apply that new vowel pattern onto them. So, for example, if we wanted to say, I'm the youngest boy in the family, right? We would take young, the word for young, which in Arabic is صغير. Identify that three-letter root, and we know that we have that ya in a lot of vowels, right? طويل, جميل, صغير. So that ya isn't part of the root, so we can take these three letters and turn them into a superlative. And I can say أنا أصغر ولد في العائلة. Or if we wanted to say that winter is the coldest season of the year, we could take that adjective for cold, بارد. Identify the root. Again, if there's a long vowel, chances are, all other things being equal, it's not part of the root. So we have ba, ra, da. We can apply it to that af'al pattern and get abrad. So we could say الشتاء أبرد فصل في السنة. The winter is the coldest season of the year. Notice that this af'al pattern, when we're describing a noun, always comes before the noun. It's kind of an exception to the rule that adjectives always follow nouns, right? And also notice that the nouns we're describing, the walad, this fasl, are definite in meaning, but we do not make them definite with alif lam, right? When we use this superlative af'al pattern, it's implied that that noun is definite. The very coldest season, the very youngest kid, walad. So even though it's functionally definite, we're not going to make things definite with alif lam. That's a very strict rule. One other little exception that you should be aware of, ahsan, that word meaning best, doesn't exactly correspond to the most common words that we hear for good, even in Fusha, but also in dialects, right? If you're learning Shami, you might have been taught to say منيح. If you're learning Egyptian, you might have been taught to say كويس, or even in Fusha, we usually hear a word like جيد, for example, to talk about something being good, but we're not going to apply this af'al pattern to any of those words. We're going to use ahsan. It's very fixed to mean best. And it does in fact come from a Fusha word, hasan, meaning well or good, that this pattern is applied to, so it's a little exception to the rules. But ahsan, best.